we're just going to dive right in because I forgot to hit record on this, but we have a caller from Eastern Oregon who colored about why do I constantly abandon myself for others? They were feeling this in their lower stomach and their lower back. It felt really intense and like it was twisting into knots, and it felt very heavy. Anything else you would want to add to that before I have you kind of go and explain your coloring?
Just that this is a deeper exploration of something I've been working on for years now, I guess. Be a good
Yeah,
way to sum it up.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's also a good reminder for listeners too that there's some mental models that we have, some questions or patterns that we have that we'll probably keep coming back to a lot and revisiting throughout our life because we're just going to see it in different facets and different lenses. So love that. Love that you pointed it out. What was the first thing that you colored?
The first thing I colored was that red spiral or the red like loop-de-loop. And then as I started filling in the inside of the loop, then I worked my way upward from the pink to the purple. And then I did the ocean at the bottom and the sunrise in between was last. Funny enough.
That's awesome. For the pink and the purple, does it feel like a sunrise or sunset as well, or is that separate from the sunrise that's coming up over the ocean?
No, it feels like the same thing. What when I look at this, it almost even looks like a roller coaster, like on a like over an ocean,
Yeah,
like looking out like on a boardwalk and how it like almost would make like an optical illusion of like a roller coaster just being over the ocean.
yeah, I love that. Good awareness. We're just going to go in the order of what you colored, and then we'll try to see if we can take all the clues that we're gathering from the colors and the shapes that you used and create more of a story or gather the message that your body wants you to see about the question that you answered.
Okay.
Now, for the when we look at where the sensation you felt is typically so stomachs in the lower back, typically the type of energy or emotions that are stored in those places have to deal with things like lacking affection from other people or judgments from other people, wanting someone to kind of keep their judgments to themselves, or this feeling of like wanting to get people off your back. Could also represent being in a relationship, and it doesn't have to be like a romantic relationship. It can also just be platonic or a communal relationship where it maybe feels very imbalanced or one person holds more of the power than the other. And then also just this feeling of wanting to run away from a situation instead of like moving through it or moving through the emotions that come up when these situations arise. So that's kind of like what we are going to start off with, of just based on the sensation being in your stomach and in your back. Those are just some clues. Obviously take what resonates. The roller coaster is pointing out, or this deep red is pointing out, that this has to do with your willingness to rely and trust other people. Roller coasters specifically have to do, in this case, with rapid changes in your waking life. So it could represent, because it is this deep red, that these rapid changes in your life are leading to a resistance to trusting and relying on other people. And maybe the rapid changes weren't necessarily something you could control. Maybe they were something, even like the people being hot and cold and not being able to have like a steady kind of gauge of how people were going to react, maybe to you or to who you are, what you thought, what you said. That could also um, make you feel like you are on this roller coaster. The interesting thing though, it looks like there's some sort of like keyhole in the roller coaster that could represent, would you say that looks more like a keyhole or like an eye?
But at first it started to look like an eye, and then I kind of thought it looked like a vulva,
That's
I guess is the
great.
best way to say that.
I love me some feminine parts in colorings. You'd be surprised at how often they come up. So love it. What so typically when we see like the feminine, any sort of like feminine parts, like the vulva or even uteruses or any sort of like feminine anatomy, it has to do with like creation energy. This specifically,
I it doesn't really come through in the picture, but it was gold,
gold, love
but it
it.
kind of looks like dark because the gold that I have is kind of a realistic gold.
Yeah, that's great. So great. I love that. The so I would say that it has to do with creation, but it is also coming through as like your ability to be vulnerable or even like authentic in sharing who you are, share like dropping your guard and being vulnerable with others. The gold has to do with kindness and understanding towards other people who have caused hurt. So that could even just be like the people who maybe made you feel like you were on this roller coaster that you couldn't tell which way was up or down and it was really confusing and you couldn't like predict where it was going at any given moment. There's like this kindness or this understanding that you have from looking at this and working through this. And the kindness and understanding too, if we relate it back to the vulnerability and authenticity, it's more of like these are people where you did show up authentically, you did show up in your vulnerable state, and they didn't meet you with respect or they used it as a way to take advantage per se or to manipulate, which obviously is not great. But what is great is that it looks like the all the work that you're doing, it's kind of opening this channel for you to trust yourself, trust your discernment, trust your creativity, trust your intuition to be able to create that sense of trust with others. How does that all sound so far?
Oh yeah. No, that's right on point. That's absolutely validating and resonating with me.
That's awesome. It's always good to hear. It came from you. So we're just means we're listening to your body and tapping in and seeing what message your body wants you to kind of take in uh and embrace in a different way. Sunrises have to do with new chapters, but I think what's really interesting about this is that I mean, one, we have the vulva, we have the creation, the authenticity, the nod to the work that you have been doing, and this ushering in of like a new chapter, which is very beautiful. New chapters are always great. It also looks like you're like going into this new chapter, you're taking the wisdom with you, but you're not taking the heaviness. You're taking the lessons that you've learned and going going into this new chapter. It's kind of like a curtain, like you're opening up a new doorway or opening up a new window and seeing a different perspective,
Yeah.
which is awesome. Any thoughts on that? Seems like that resonated for you.
Yeah. Well, you asked me before if the pink and the purple were part of the sunrise.
Mhm.
But like as I was listening to you, I was like, they do almost feel like a separate layer. And when you said curtain, I was like, yeah, it kind of does almost look like a theater curtain, like how like in a theater there's like that like thick part at the top. Like to me, that's like the purple, and the pink is like the curtain that would like part that would open.
That
Like
is,
the roller coaster is like parting the curtains.
that's really cool. So let's talk about the pink and the purple a little bit because it
Yeah,
feels like the curtain is maybe the old stuff or like the old beliefs, and then the sunrise and the water are like the new kind of energy coming in. Um,
yeah,
so for the pink and the purple, the pink has to do with hesitancy. So just a reluctance to speak, or it's more of like a proceed with caution of having your guard be up, maybe having your guard be up, but instead of having it be like a protective, it's more of like instead of a protective armor, it's like you've built a moat that people have to like forge to like get in, and they have to jump through all these hoops in order to for you to kind of like let them in. um
yeah,
so it feels like that was like an old kind of belief that is kind of rising with the curtain and changing. And then the
yeah,
purple has to do with rebelliousness. So this this is more of making it like your whole personality. And I'm not saying this in like a critical or judgmental way, because we all do this where we have this one piece of ourselves or the way we express ourselves or the way that we show up to where we we attach our identity and our worth to that, as a form of rebelliousness. So it might even be like the the moat that you created, or all of the 100 hoops that these people had, like anyone had to jump through in order to for you to drop your guard and to be authentic and vulnerable and in this creative energy with people, um, where it was more of like your identity and something that brought you a lot of comfort. But it's like with this curtain that's rising, I think you're the work that you've been doing, it's like stripping away like one obstacle at a time and helping you make connections faster, and just know that like you've got really good like spidey senses to be able to say like yes, no, trustworthy, not trustworthy, or um being able to spot the red flags sooner and trust when you see those red flags.
yes. That's absolutely resonating with me.
That's awesome. What does it make you think of when you hear those things?
Mostly my relationship with power
Mm.
and how I utilized rebellion to uh as my superpower growing up. I couldn't, be controlled. I couldn't be told what to do. Constantly finding loopholes. My parents were always like, you should be a lawyer when you grow up. Didn't really realize that was their way of like calling me a bitch, but uh but realizing that I had so much power, I felt unchecked a lot of the time, not because there wasn't rules trying to stop me, but mostly because I felt like I couldn't connect
Mm.
through rebellion. And I had a friend actually when I started out with shadow work call me a rebel without a cause, and that came up when you were talking about that. And
Mm.
so it felt like, okay, in order to keep people safe, I have to put all these obstacles in between connection. And in order to keep myself safe too, right? It was like on both sides that like I have to be cautious about who I let in because I have all this power. If people without boundaries get close to me, then I might hurt them. And if people who want to take advantage of me get close to me, they might hurt me.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think that's going to resonate a lot with the people who are watching this. I know that that is a very common theme for the people that I work with, and even in some of my own colorings. Um, Very cool that you're very aware of that and like working through that. It looks like it's paying off because the sunset and the ocean. So the the sunset is basically for the sunrise. It's not a sunset. It is a new beginning. So this is the stuff that's being ushered in. So it's more of the energetic frequencies of play and curiosity and feeling inspired and creative. And like in this flow state, there's also a lot of compassionate love, not only for other people, but specifically for yourself, which is huge. And then the water, water has to do with um, how comfortable you are expressing emotions. And this is more of a sign that like you're very at peace with the emotions and peace. It's like you're using the emotions that you're feeling more as information instead of rules, which is something that I'm a big advocate for and talk a lot about, is being able to use it as data to help you make decisions and to sharpen your discernment and your inner knowing. And it's really coming, it's like forging this forgiveness towards yourself and obviously towards other people. But I would say that the black in the water is more geared towards self-compassion and acceptance, and not only with the emotions that you feel, maybe the thoughts that you have, but also with who you are, what you stand for, your um and how your brain and your body work, and your needs. So all good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely resonating with me. It's really validating of the work that I've been doing for the past years, and both trying to reconnect with myself and learn how to be in community as somebody who's never experienced community before.
That is awesome. I mean, it's your coloring is basically saying like you've done a lot of work. Keep it up, and good things are happening and are going to continue to happen. And you're going to kind of see maybe these old beliefs and these different patterns kind of change and take on new shapes and be more aligned with like your playfulness and inspiration and creativity, which is really exciting to see.
That is really exciting. Can I say one more thing real
Yeah,
quick?
please.
That like
Please do.
it's exciting, but it's also a little bit hard because as somebody who's been doing this work for 5 years, it's hard to change modes from I have stuff I need to work on to embracing play and joy and allowing myself to relax into the fact that things are getting better. That is a whole different like level of shadow work. It almost feels like is like how do I let myself experience joy? So I think that's probably where my color mending is going to take me next.
I love that. I love that you identified that and were very keen on picking up on that, because and while you were coloring, we talked about how a lot of our nervous system is based on the old patterns, and how when we change to new patterns or new frequencies, sometimes it can feel very exposing and sometimes almost feel like we're dying. So yeah, love that your body is also saying, hey, look at this. And that you have the resources, not only with color mending, but with shadow work and with your community, to be able to explore how to make those things feel like your new safe space.
Yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited for you, and just this coloring is it's exciting. It's exciting to see what's ahead for you. But thank you for calling in today. For anyone who is interested in learning how to decode their own coloring, like I just did today, you can go ahead and scan this code. This will take you to the coloring bet, which will help you and teach you color mending in 21 days. And if you're interested in scheduling your own reading, you can go ahead and scan this QR code, and schedule a time to meet. But until next time, y'all, we'll see ya.